What's up, everybody? I'm Vince. This is my channel, DVWIII Fine Art. I'm glad to have you on today. I'm gonna do a Mylar balloon. You know, perhaps kind of intimidating, perhaps not. You may have found in the past in your painting, you're like, ugh, shiny surfaces. What do I do? There's like all these shapes and it's reflecting this and reflecting that. So today we're just going to simplify it, really break it down into the very basics, and hopefully make it easier for your next painting. So I'm going to kind of sneak into my painting position here, make sure I have everything ready. I have a very precarious setup. Something's liable to fall over. It just really is. Here, we'll go this way. We'll get getting in the saddle this way here. All right, making it there, making it there. All right, let's see. Everything's still on? Okay, yep. Bumped it some, awesome. And yeah, let's rock and roll. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible so that hopefully when you get a time to watch the video, you're taking away the best of the best early on. And yeah, make the most of your time. All right, I'm gonna start off by painting my mixed black, which is burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. Let's grab a little bit there. And awesome, we got a nice dark, nice chromatic dark. Now I do have a black, an ivory black on my palette, but I do like having this mixed black around. I usually start there, and if I feel like I need to go darker for any other reason, if it just needs a little bit more of a punch, I'll add some of the ivory black, but that's kind of a break glass in case of emergency type scenario. All right, got a nice mixed black ready to roll. And we are ready to rock. So anytime I'm making a painting, I start off by just looking and saying, okay, what are the darkest areas I can see and that I can make out? Because I'm going to start there. And that just helps guide me to mix colors and progressively move myself lighter. So as I look at the balloon, I can see this region in here, to me, looks like some of the darkest. And then, you know, there's maybe a few on these edges here. And I'm going for the quick block in, and I just want you to kind of along for the ride. It's been about a month since my last video, and I don't want anyone to think I'm dead. So let's rock and roll here. I'm using a Utrecht brush. It's a 239 mixed synthetic. It's a flat. I'm gonna like using the flat for this. There's a lot of angular shapes here. We've got that nice hard edge on this particular brush. It'll be great for what we're doing. I don't normally do this, but you can see that I've already put some of my foreground elements in first. I did it all for you so that when you joined, you could say, oh wow, we're getting to kind of see this process of creating the Mylar. If you're familiar with my Instagram, it's just the same handle as the channel here. You'll know that I often, there's been quite a few times where I painted a Mylar balloon, and this quick breakdown, we're just gonna kind of bump right up against that. Let's see, I'm using just the edge of my brush. I'm just kind of inching in there. Don't want to go too far down because I see the shape, this dark shape ends about right there. And we'll just want to leave it there. There we go. And I may come in with another color, a kind of an in-between to soften that edge some. All right, in between that, I do see just a little bit. I see a darker shape in here. I'm gonna have to take care, so I like to use my pinky. I'm kind of a pinky rester, so while I have the real estate over here, this may be mostly dry. Yep, it is. I think I could rest there, but it was painted yesterday. It can be touchy, so. Hope everyone's Saturday is going awesome. I rarely get to do a Saturday live stream, so yep, I hope a few people are available and have not forgotten I'm alive. What's up, Rob? Good to see you. Sorry so long. I swear I'm gonna make a schedule and maybe have like one time a week just kind of dedicated to this process. So, whoops, kind of painted into my foreground there. It's all fixable. We can get there. No worries. All right, so I'm Rob. Glad you're on. I'm gonna lighten up my next move a little bit. I'm gonna add just a little bit of this raw umber. It's kind of a greener brown, dark brown, which is pretty handy. I'm also gonna take, because I really see this next bigger shape here as a kind of a green, I'm gonna grab some Viridian. It's a very cool green. I'm gonna add that to this, and we'll just kind of see what we get when we put it up here. Okay, hard to tell that any shift was made there. So you can see still pretty dark in comparison to what was hopefully going to be my black. I'm probably going to have to go back over that just a little more to enrich it. That's okay. I need to add some yellow. I'm going to do this gingerly because I definitely want it to be green, but I'm just going to barely dip into the yellow, cad yellow, and just lighten this up just a tad. You can see that's a little lighter than this. And again, this is the quick breakdown. This is me just choosing a few things and saying, all right, I think I can just add a little more, and that's probably going to be about it. Okay, I like that. It's still really dark. I think it won't look as dark when we get some of the other colors around it, but we're going to start adding some of that in. I'm going to have to mix some more of it. But yeah, we're just going to get this blocked in. Yes, Rob. Hey, Debbie, what's up, Debbie? Man, I guess I need to get on Saturdays so we can all hang out together. All right, dipping back into that cad yellow, and just making that nice dark green, kind of yellowy green. Just gonna fill this space. I'm not trying to get it right, okay? I'm trying to get it a little right, but at the same time, I am really just wanting to put a little bit of that edge is darker there than I see. I really see kind of a darker edge there. So I like to use all angles of the brush. So you notice I'm gonna hold it like this sometimes. Sometimes I'll even maybe go in lefty to get some of those marks. Use I love flats because you can use the edge. You can to make more of a line if you need to. It's pretty handy. I'm just going to clean up this edge just a little more. Sadly, I thought for sure I would still have some. My background would be wet. It's only been a day, but that oil just soaked right down into this canvas, into this primer, and yeah, it's gone. And I thought I'd be able to work into this edge a little bit. Nice thing is, if you notice over here, I have a good pile of that mixed up, so I can use that later to kind of clean up some of my edges so that I get a nice soft edge there. At least in that, I want that kind of soft edge around the to kind of go back around here, and then some of these other spots will probably be a little sharper. I'll really use that edge of this flat to just be real painterly, have a good time. All right, methodically working at it, that's always the way. I think a lot of times people think, oh, painting, even if it looks like a little looser, that you're thinking, oh, that must have been really quick, or that must have been easy. But no, there's kind of a lot of planning and thought behind it. In fact, Debbie is a phenomenal painter. I know she's trying to kind of sneak in here and pretend like she's just watching, but she's a great painter. Definitely worth following on Instagram. Check her out. She's super awesome. All right, getting some of that dark in. And yeah, I see some of these darks over here, but when I look at them, I see a really cool, almost greenish shadow here. These appear warmer to me, so we're gonna kind of abandon this shape. I might use a little bit of it up here, and then we're gonna kind of come in on this warmer edge here, and then we're gonna keep working toward the light. Every artist has a method, and this just happens to be mine. Kind of work from dark to light. I learned a lot working from mids and then working out to dark and light at a Michael Shane Neal workshop. It was pretty awesome. And that was a nice way. I'm so ingrained in doing it this way, though, that I don't know that old habits die hard, they say. Very true. It's just kind of easy. I'm not going to worry about trying to get too close to that. I'm going to try to save some of that really fine detail for after the video's done. I don't want to bore you with all that. That I can do on my own time. We want to watch the magic happen, and quick. Be quick about it. Yes, Debbie, we're doing well. Hey, sweet, first commission, nice. Congrats, that's awesome. Can I ask what the commission is, or subject matter? You know, is that this isn't like a HIPAA law or anything, right? We're gonna break any rules if I do that. You know, a lot of times commissions are like gifts and stuff, which are really fun. And sometimes as the artist, you have to kind of keep it on the down low. Don't shout to the roofs too loudly. So kind of making my green for this edge up here. This would be nice. I tried to make the background a little purpley. I did that on purpose, thinking, hey, whoops, bumped my brush. Thinking that'll be great. Kind of see some of the greens in here, some of the yellows, the oranges. Think a lot about that while I'm putting paintings together. All right, those edges are way too harsh for me, but we're gonna keep on rolling so that we get to see something. I mean, you know. So I still see a little bit of this green here and there. So I'm gonna kind of drop some of it in where I see it. You know, it's one of those like efficiency things where it's like, hey, I've got it on the brush. I've already kind of sketched out some of the shapes here. So I just see it happening here and here. We're gonna just drop that in a little bit. This is gonna work best, working on something like this, leaving it a little loose and energetic. So no matter what I do, even if I get a little tight in some of the areas, it will be there'll be some intentional loose marks, even if it's something that I put in at the very end, just to really give it some of that energy and life. Hunting and pecking right now. I've got it on the brush, looking for other spots. It looks like there's one here above the handle. Just looking for this green. Working on what's already there. It kind of goes down into here too, trying to be careful. working with a big brush around something I've kind of already modeled. You know, not wanting to mess it up too bad. That's a beautiful thing about oil, you know, it can always be fixed. You can always paint on top. You just might get the colors wrong. Then it dries, you're like, oh yeah, I got the match. And then it dries, even though you oil it out. You're like, what? That was a dead-on match. And then it just didn't work out. Again, I'll leave a little space there, just a tiny bit. Okay, I still got some dark areas down under here that I still feel are, for the most part, my black. Might have to lean in, use my little elbow rest here. Probably just off of the view of the palette cam. Got kind of an elbow rest here that I can utilize. Don't quite, with my paint book here, there's not a lot to rest a mall stick on, so I have to figure out other creative ways to get steady. Creek water at night. I love that. Will you just hang around and describe the colors you see? It's like the J. Peterman catalog. You're making it sound much better by just a nice, like, colorful, literally colorful description. All right, I'm gonna do about the same thing, only, you know, bear in mind this is all really rough. But I'm gonna take my mixed black here, and I'm gonna make a little bit of a warmer dark to kind of follow this side some. And yeah, you better believe it, there's gonna be some other refining, but right now I'm just not too concerned about it. So I'm gonna take my black, I'm gonna mix up just a little more burnt sienna in it, which, you know, my mixed black, like I said, ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and I can just manipulate that just a little bit. If I decide this isn't quite cutting the cake, I can do something else. It'll probably lighten just a little bit. I usually just use the same brush, although sometimes I'll just kind of wipe it down. I'm not using a brush cleaner in the studio because I don't have ventilation. I know there's other options out there, but I'll just get a little bit. But I like, you know, I like to get muddy. I like a little bit of that green to still be on the brush, especially for these darks. When we make a big value shift, which kind of in the next step we'll do that, make that next value shift, I'll pick up another brush. Probably still be a flat, but I'm really excited. This painting is going in a show in New York. It's headed to Arcadia Gallery, Arcadia Contemporary, and they invited me to take part in a group show. It's called The Frame Remains the Same. I think I'm allowed to say that. I don't know, maybe not. But they've got a show coming up, and the concept is pretty cool. It's it's basically, they bought a bunch of these. This is 9x12. They bought a bunch of 9x12 frames, and Raymar, who I paint on anyway, paint on their surfaces, love their surfaces. Shout out to Raymar. And they sent Raymar surfaces to everybody. And so we all have these 9x12s. Everyone's going to paint their painting, ship the painting unframed, and then they'll drop them in the frames there at the gallery. And have a bunch of artists, but everyone has the same frame on their art, on their individual paintings. So it's gonna be cool. I wish I was on the East Coast and could go see the show, but they have a lot of like virtual ways to see it. So I will definitely be taking him up on that. All right, shapes, more shapes. Chase them down. See some in the shadow here. Just, you know, so on something like this, anytime you're painting something that's really, it feels complicated, you know, you're looking at it like, oh, where do I start? Or, you know, just start in those darks, start blocking in just some of the shapes you see. So that's all I'm doing. I'm kind of taking a look here and saying, ooh, I like this little kind of dark, warm color here. And ooh, it looks like that kind of continues a little bit around up here and back. And then on up. It starts to get a little lighter. Seems like so I'm kind of watching this edge as it curves around. And about right here, it starts to change a little bit. It starts to get a little lighter as it goes on top. And at least for me, it's reflecting the studio ceiling. Am I ready to do it? I don't know. Let's just take a little bit of yellow ochre. I'll make this shift with this brush, but then I probably won't go lighter, break out another brush. Just a slight change there. Again, not going to be too perceptible against, definitely not in a camera. And probably not on video. But just going to get a little lighter as we turn the corner here. I'm seriously bummed that my background color dried out on me. I was kind of counting on being able to work into it today. Hey, I hope everyone's having a great Easter weekend. Any awesome Easter plans to speak of? Debbie, are you doing any traveling? Going to visit any family that I might like to see too? All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and get rid of all this. There's a little bit of that ground layer. So the ground layer is just this kind of rubbed in tone you know, it's nice to not work directly on white. You know, when you work directly on white, it's just really hard to tell some of your initial value decisions. And two, you know, if you don't quite get complete coverage in an area, it's not, I mean, yeah, obviously these are sticking out like a sore thumb, but it's not as bad as it would be if we were looking at like a really bald white gessoed canvas. That said, I'm gonna bring in just a little bit of a kind of a break of a tone here. I do want to clean up this edge just enough. It's gonna really ruin our illusion here if any of that's showing, so I'm gonna just cover that up some. I know I didn't quite do it on that side either. I'm right-handed. This is hard. I can't get the nice edges like I can over here. I'd have to switch it up, go lefty. Any left-handers in the audience? Okay, 4th of July. Cool. Cool, cool. Well, I'm still planning, at least right now, Lord willing, I'll be in the area. I'm gonna speak in code, Debbie. I'm gonna be in the area where we normally see each other. I hope for the show. I'd really like to go there for that art fair and just hang, just have fun, enjoy, go see, yeah, like go see someone play, I don't know, say the organ, maybe go, and yeah, just enjoy all kinds of, I don't know, have a vacation of sorts, but just hang. Be with people you love being with, you know? That's kind of what I'd like to do. And then visit everyone that's at the show too, that I know. Just kind of talk, hang out. Okay, I'm looking around and hard to tell, but you know, I see a few kind of darker points here, and I'm gonna put those in. We'll come back and get serious about them, but I'm kind of I fall into the camp that the more information I can have in, even if it's just slightly wrong. I know some people would, Debbie might come down on me for this, so but I like to put it in even if it's not quite right, just to it helps me make better decisions later. I really like having something there, even if it's not, you know, near enough, right? Okay. Let's make a next move. I'm gonna leave that. That's gonna be my dark brush. So anytime I need to do a dark value, I'll just break that bad boy out again. Let's stay big with our brush, just so that we're moving faster. Find another larger flat here. Digging, digging, digging. Doesn't everyone want to watch a video where the artist isn't doing anything but digging through his brush pile, looking for just the right one, just listening, hoping at some point he he comes through? Oh, I can't find another flat. I wonder if I laid him somewhere. All right, well, there's no getting up now. I'm locked in. Let's go with this one. Remember that rule I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna make use flats for all these. No, just broke it. Art world, made to be broken. Rules, made to be broken. All right. So I'm kind of looking at this next phase. So this mid shape here, kind of see that play out a little bit here and around. Again, looking at how cool this is compared to how warm it is on this side. And so we're going to start here, kind of blocking some of this, come back in here, and at least that's my plan. Sometimes I get a little distracted and I, great quote. See, I just got distracted. Debbie, great quote. Oh, that's cool. That's exciting, Debbie, that she's moving as well. Yeah, just to hang, and yes, it's true. We deal in illusion. I love that. Is that a Wychulis quote, or is that a Kamelin quote? Got a little bit of paint thinner on my brush. You know, I don't use a whole lot generally, so I'm gonna aim to really get this next big block of color in. And so I already know that I was, you know, mixing this nice Boggy Creek in the night color green. Thank you for that one, Debbie. That was awesome. And then, so I know I want to go lighter than this. I've already got it here on the palette. So when I mix, I'll start kind of working upward toward that. I'm still going to start off with some raw umber and some cad yellow, and you can see it's not quite, you know, still very warm there. So rather than using this, we'll go with some cerulean, a little bit of a lighter, cool color to make our green. So that's a little lighter, you can see. And so here's like the moment where you're just like, okay, let's lay it down up here, see what happens, okay? So I like that. And you know, you see fun ways in which it kind of breaks down. I think at least on this side, I think that's about accurate. So I'm gonna lay that down. Oh, needs to be a little lighter. Notice I haven't really tried to use any white just yet. Not that that's against the rules. You remember, there's not too many rules. And our rules are sometimes made to be broken. But it gets a little greener as it kind of comes around here. And it's definitely going to get lighter as it comes into this area. So I just want to put in some of that. I might have to make that darker on that edge now that I'm looking at it. And see, I wouldn't have been able to make that call without this color. And so that's why I love getting it in there, just so I'm like, yep, I'm ready. Okay. I'm gonna wrap it around. So remember what I just said. We know this color was here, this color was here. So we want to go a little bit lighter than that. So again, I'm gonna do about the same thing. Grab a little raw umber. Oh yeah, I didn't do that last time, did I? I went that way. And a little bit more yellow. That's probably a little too much, but I think I'm okay with that. Let's see. Just gets a little, I think that's, oh yeah, that feels pretty good, at least out there in the middle of nowhere. See how it looks when it comes up to here. Probably a little too light. That's all right. We will kind of fill in that space here. There's another cooler, lighter color that happens right in here. I think I'm gonna add that later though. So I'm just gonna kind of go ahead and meet these just cause. And ooh, there's even like a greener. Wonder if I can get that. Sometimes you just get excited. You're like, what is this really whacked out green color right here? And I'm like, yes, find it, put it in. And mixed a little Viridian and Cad Yellow. It kind of happens, you know, I'm kind of okay with that one. See it happening a little bit over here. The other side of the highlight. Okay, let's get a little more of that going. A little more thinner. It's getting, paint body's getting a little too thick. That needs to be a little lighter. As it too is, you know, its own form that's turning up this way, heading up. So before that gets just crazy, all those highlights there, so, you know, really just fill it in. There we go. What would chalkify? I must be missing something. And Rob usually asks awesome questions, and now he doesn't realize it. If Rob, if you're still on, if you got a question and you want to field, you know, have another artist field it, Debbie's an awesome resource. She studies with Anthony Waichulis on the regular, and if you've ever seen his work, it's, you know, absolutely mind-blowing, the level of realism that he achieves. So if you ask a question, you might get two answers. I won't promise that mine will be any good, but I promise that Debbie's will be good. Okay. Again, you know what? Let's go ahead and kind of put in some of that interesting reflection there. That was a little bit of cerulean blue, and this time I am going to dip in just a little bit of lead white. Still going to keep it kind of greenish with the yellow, but want it to be a little more blue. This interesting, and really this is kind of one of those cases to just let the brush do what it's going to do. So, you know, maybe kind of like, no, that's more, no, I put it in, that's more yellow than that. See, that's what happens. I got to get it up there and compare. I got to get in there and make mistakes, otherwise I don't get it right. Okay, that feels a little better. Maybe this is a little green. I'll come back in here. Maybe a little greener. See what this does. Yep, that's better. That's it. Now my brush is all messy. We're just gonna use that, you know. Okay. Let me finish up that dark side over here really quick. Now that I've got a couple of to warm up my brush. Just got up still, or cool down the brush. Just trying to find that cool edge here. It's kind of dark. Use my flat like this. It's kind of on the edge. Just drag it up a little bit. And since I've got a darker color here, I want to go ahead and get that just a little darker. And you might notice that that immediately started to do a thing up here. You're like, whoa, wait a second, it's starting to happen. And yeah, it is. It's like, it's interesting how, you know, you get enough of the right information together and it just, that illusion that Debbie was talking about just starts to happen. Then you have to say, okay, wow, it really works. Trust the process. All right, I do see kind of a dark, warmer edge up here. I'm just gonna put it in just cause. All right, where was I? See, I told you, see, and I didn't even finish what I set out to do. Just quickly see another area that I wanna address. I do wanna get rid of this edge. Come back and clean it up later. Would I do it differently if I were just in the studio by myself? Yep, I wouldn't work as quickly. Although, I don't know, there's some magic sometimes happens. Pressure makes diamonds, sometimes. Sometimes it crushes too, but it's good to work a little quicker than you're comfortable. Have a few moments of Gitmo. G-E-T-M-O. Good enough to move on. So gotta sometimes just say Gitmo. Good enough to move on. Just keep rolling. All right. Let's see. So I was mixing some of this color. I wanted to get on the other side of the highlight with some of that other green because again, just trying to be efficient. Mix up a little more of this. I'm really excited. Here's another announcement that's coming down the pipeline. I'm gonna be working in a mall here shortly. So I'm in Wichita, Kansas, and Wichita Arts Council does these what they call open studios, and so they're taking a mall, which is essentially, as you might imagine, empty now. I was really shocked. There was maybe like 20 businesses in a mall here that we have in town, and I was thinking, wow, I didn't realize it was that. I just hadn't been in a while. I didn't know it was just so empty. So they're going to make artist studios in some of the storefronts for. So essentially, I get to be like a captive artist creating for everybody. So we're going to take this show on the road and set up shop in a mall. And I'm also excited because it's going to give me a lot more space than I have here in my home studio. And so I'm going to have a bunch of students just kind of come whenever, sort of open the door, come hang out, come create. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a unique opportunity. All right. I think for the most part, yeah, maybe there's a few little areas here and there that are still, we'll block in a few areas there. So yeah, I can't wait to, I'm going to try to shoot some video of kind of the transformation of the space and actually release a true YouTube video rather than just a live stream. And yeah, looking forward to it. And so I hope you'll join me in the mall. Hi, Angel. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Cool. All right, Rob's got a good question here. Adding white. Yes. That's good, Debbie. Sorry, just catching up on everyone's comments. All right. No, Rob, don't feel guilty. I love it. I love that you ask questions. So, working on a painting of a girl with a denim jacket, and I don't know how to paint it, but I found Deborah's comment about dealing in illusion very interesting. That paid close attention to the folds and creases of the balloon. Think denim. Yeah. That's good. It's true. Love it. Because in some ways, it just doesn't have to be any different. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about painting is it, we think, oh, I'm working on this, this is different than this. But in some ways, it's just like looking carefully for those right colors and then allowing the rest to happen. Okay, we're going to try to get in all of this area. So we have these nice warmer tones. Yep, I'm going to use the same brush. And it turns to a nice yellow. Wow, gets some really intense yellow. So we're going to kind of work on this area next. And then hopefully we'll get to the highlights. And then if it needs, some areas will probably need a little bit more work, and I'll work on those. But that'll probably be the end of the video. Primarily because from there on out, it's like part of the fun of this is that, wow, it kind of, as soon as you get some of those necessary shapes together, it just starts to work. It starts to appear right before your eyes, and it's amazing. And that's fun. But once that passes, it's like, okay, I know he's working on this little area down here, but he's been working on it for 30 minutes, and I can't see any difference. All right, so let's see. I kind of mixed up a warmer. It's probably a little too orangey, but let's find out. Yeah, too orangey. Here's a great moment where you're like, okay, there's too much. That's just a little too orange for my liking. And so what can I do is if I'm looking at my color wheel, what's across from the from orange on the color wheel? Well, we know it's blue. And so I can take a little bit of like cerulean and I can cool it off just a little bit, neutralize it just some, and then put it down again. So it's still not as yellow and green as I want, even though it is warmer than this one. So I'm going to come in, grab a little more of my yellow and a little more of the cerulean. And that's getting closer And I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna go a little lighter too, I think. Definitely lighter. It's getting ahead of myself. Value first, value first. Yep, there it is. So that feels much better. So you see there's quite a temperature shift between that very orange and now I've gotten, I feel a little closer to the color and the value more important, but that's really in that area. So I'm gonna let loose and fill in that area. And I'll have to do some correction here and there. One of the exciting parts is this little seam, which turns this insane orangey red, which until you like put it in, you're like, no, that doesn't really exist in this thing. And then you put it in there and you're like, holy cow, that's whoa, that's really does it. That is it. Those are the really exciting parts in painting where you're just like, wow, I didn't think that was gonna do it, but it did. And then you get excited because you kind of solved it. So I probably should have worked my way from a little darker to lighter here because I'm kind of looking at how that transition is happening. So I'm gonna do it in the reverse this time. So if I know that this is the color we were working with, I'm gonna mix next to it. I'm gonna go a little darker and a little more green. So in some ways, maybe the only decision I need to make is adding a little bit of red in. See, that obviously took it way too far because that was, my proportions weren't right, but I could bring it back. A little yellow, a little bit of burnt sienna. And so now we've got a cooler version, yet this is still warmer than this, right? And it's fun to kind of have those out there. Although, I think I just want it, maybe I'll make a little side mix here for this section. Right here above this fold. There's a lot more shapes in here that I'm not concerning myself with right now. I will hop in and put those in, don't worry. So definitely check out the final piece. I'm gonna post it on Instagram and you know, hopefully good things happen in New York and somebody decides, hey, that's the one I want. Who is this? Who is this guy from Wichita, Kansas? I've always felt like I needed more paintings from Kansas in my New York apartment. Or who knows, maybe all over the world, right? They probably ship worldwide. So maybe it'll end up elsewhere. So you might notice I just lightened that up a little bit. Debbie, I just got back from Texas area and I did 2 shows practically back to back. There was only one weekend in between and it was good. Had a good couple shows. Really went well. Oh, nice. So you spent some good time in New York City. Awesome. Wow. How, I mean, without revealing too much, how far of a trip is that for you, Debbie? Is that, I mean, I can't imagine you would drive, but gotta realize I'm from the middle of nowhere. We drive everywhere. I mean, yes, I could fly, but you know, I'm still a farmer at heart and stay on the ground more than I ought, probably. See, I wanted that this color shift here. There's some interesting. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and break some of my rules and put in just a few more shapes that I'm seeing. Because I want to. You're like, wait a second, you're not doing it in the order that you promised. It's true. I'm not. See, now I'm getting to the point where I have a few of the colors kind of mixed and I can just kind of start digging in. Other times I like to pre-mix these. I know some of the videos you've seen. I'm already mixing them. I'm already working on them. Oh, I see the kids coming back with Grandma. Grandma is here to visit at our house right now, Debbie, and staying for the weekend. Out of coming in from the farm and spending time with us. So having a good time. So they just got back from the park. So who knows? We may have some visitors to the studio shortly. I'll be like, why is Daddy's studio door shut? Okay. 3 hours train. Nice. 4 drive. Okay, cool. That's nice. That is really nice, by the way. I know you already know that, but I'm gonna just... That is a nice thing to have access to. That's really awesome. That is the one thing that I bemoan the most. I love where I live and don't really have a desire to change it. But it I am really far away from good museums. Not dogging ours in our city. We got some good stuff. But it's not like going to New York. So if you're listening, Wichita Art Museum, I got all love for you. I'm a member, okay? It's got a little bit of kind of warmer reflection here. Of course, I've made this painting. It has multiple levels, right? So I'm just trying to add, to kind of think creatively, create a little bit of drama, some excitement with some diagonals. So yeah, it's all over the place, and so I've had to paint things at different times, and hopefully when it all comes together, that illusion is consistent and is working. I should say that, you know, I won't let it out of the house until it is. Right? You just got to keep working on it until, oh yeah, okay, there it is. It's made it. All right, we're getting there. We got a lot of shapes in. Debbie, did you see a particular painting that was just like jaw-dropping for you, that you were like, wow, in the exhibit? So I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit right now, trying to fill in some of these areas that aren't quite, and you'll notice that every time I cover up some of this ground layer, like, it starts to develop, and so there's that constant push, working my way toward that finish, and I'm gonna need to add a little bit to my darks anyway to get them up to scratch. So I'll be in the Atlanta area next weekend for the Portrait Society of America, their annual conference. Super excited, gonna get my signature status award. So I will be a signature member of the Portrait Society, which is only held by a few since they've been. I think they started this maybe about 10 years ago or so, and so I think there's like 200, maybe 200 or less that get that designation. So really excited. They only induct so many each year, and one of the qualifications is you have to have placed in one of their competitions, and so really that's the only way that they'll let a guy like me in is by let a Kansan in. I'm gonna have to borrow a pair of shoes to go to the big city. Get it? That's a rural joke. That we don't wear shoes around here. That we're so backwoods that we don't even have those luxuries. This is also where it starts to get a little fun, because it's starting to it's like starting to work. We haven't gotten to the really important parts yet. We drop those highlights in, then all of a sudden this thing is going to sing, and if it doesn't sing, if it only has a light hum, then we'll make it sing. It'll just take a little bit, and as I've said, I won't subject you to that bit. All right, let's get focused. Kind of when a painting gets to about this level too, I start to get really distracted, because I'll want to start working on some areas that I see starting to have some promise. So get back on task, get the job done. Try not to paint over my work that I've already done. Hopefully this will dry too. I'll oil it out on Monday, and then I'll come in and refine everything. Let it dry over the weekend, and gotta get it to the gallery before May 1st. So got a deadline. Pressure makes diamonds. Sir Thomas More. Okay. Yeah, red velvet. Oh, I can only imagine. Sounds awesome. I live on the beach. What are shoes? That's great. I know. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, Debbie, promise. All right, speaking of scissors, all right, I got to give scissors respect due where, so Debbie has an awesome pair of, they're like pruning, like little pruning scissors, right, Debbie? They're amazing. You just feel the plastic texture on them. They're etched in my mind. You should check out if it's shared on Instagram. That's one to go see. Absolutely, you'll be like, wow. All right, let's get a little orange. We're talking about that orange. A little lighter. Here. Okay, I think, oh man, all right, I gotta get this done here. Enough. I need to get it good enough to move on. Get Mo so we can see what's happening. We'll get around the scissors better. I love Fiskars scissors so much. Such a joy to use. So satisfying. I remember as a child, we had these same pair of orange-handled scissors. I just loved using them as a kid. And so there's a little bit of that is baked into this, just a shameless love for the feel of the Fiskar between my fingers, cutting paper and things of that nature. All right. A little bit of that highlight, a little bit there. Okay. Yeah, that is a great piece, Debbie. I still think about it. So I think about those handles. So beautiful. There's a guy on Instagram. I don't know his name, but I follow him, and he'll occasionally post artwork, and all it is he'll post someone else's piece, and he'll just say in his post, he'll just say art that I think about, and so when I think I would post Debbie's shears from that still life under the category art that I think about. Think about those shears. Beautiful plastic texture. So I've gone a little bit lighter as we are going to kind of turn the form here and get on the other side of it. Let's see. And we're going to have to get a little cooler on that yellow, just slightly, but also still kind of keep it. You know, there's a lot of facets that I'm not putting in. You know, if I were really at it, you know, no one would be watching. Okay, so I'm gonna dive in just a little bit to a little bit of lead white, like the transparency in the lead white, add it to my yellow. I might need to just add a little bit of cerulean, cool it off. I want to start to get that shift there, although it's much more dramatic than I'm willing to do. Sometimes, you know, you put it down, you're like, no, not yet. Can't be that there we go. A little darker on this side of that little bloop there. Gotta get this little dark area here, kind of crossroad of a lot of shapes. All right, come around the corner, this cad yellow. See even a little bit of another shape that's gets some other reflections here. I'm just going to drop that in and proceed. It's definitely the most yellowish area. You know, we can, you know, sometimes when I get into some of this, it's almost shamelessly direct tube paint because I just don't do that anywhere else. And it's not always direct because obviously I've been using a muddy brush the whole time. Okay, and so as I'm watching this, as it travels back around, it loses chroma, loses saturation. As it comes back around, it starts to get a little darker and a little less saturated. So I can take that, and if I just want to knock it down some, I grab a little raw umber. Don't want to knock it down too much. I haven't put any thinner on my brush for a while. That got a little too, I'll add some white as well. Got a little too dark. Okay, that's all right, I think. As it comes up there. And then since I'm in this neighborhood, I'm gonna bring this, this is probably about right through here. It's close anyway. Still a little green over here. I think that's why I like doing the gold Mylar so much is there's the greens, the oranges, there's so much going on in it, it's really exciting. And I'll be honest, a lot of times I'm just painting things because I'm really excited about some of the color or some of the things that are happening in it. Shamelessly excited about that. Okay. Don't want to miss out on got a little bit of this. It's catching that same light right there. It has some other kind of darker stuff going on in it, but getting closer and closer. This is a really interesting area that I'll spend a little more time on right in here later, where there's just a lot of fun shapes. We got it somehow a really intense highlight got stuck in there. We got some fun areas where the color, that gold is bouncing back and forth and creating that insane orange up there. We can go ahead and put that in and see what happens there. So, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just first grade here. Yellow and red. Just kind of finding, you know, see what happens. See what happens with this color here. Not quite there yet. Probably should use a nice clean brush, nice clean mixture, but see a little bit of it in there too. Maybe just a little bit of it over here too. Some there as well. Okay, I've got, let's see, how long have we been on for? An hour and 10 minutes. All right, I'm gonna try to wrap this up in a timely manner, because I appreciate your time. I appreciate you hanging out. Mix up some of the colors here. I've got a lot of highlights, but there's a lot of color in between it. This is certainly kind of an area where you're going to say, there's a lot of shapes there. Get enough of them right, and I think, we'll be just fine. We don't need to be too specific. So I'm just going to bring up some of this. So in looking at the highlights, so I see two things happening. I do see a couple of things I can do. So right in here, so we're not going to use just white, but we are going to, almost up to this point, really haven't, only barely dipped into white, but now we'll utilize some. And, we definitely have it much more yellow in this area. And as it comes back around, then it's lighter up here, lighter and cooler. And so I'm going to just try to pay attention to that and get some of that in place. And then we'll call the video good to go. Let's see. So maybe a new brush. Yeah, let's just do a light value brush. And picking and choosing. A smaller flat here. All right, I'm going directly into my lead white. Nice lead white number 2 from Natural Pigments. Shout out to Natural Pigments. Mix a little bit of the yellow in. Too much there. Same time though, you want, it's so easy to put in too much white. So sometimes, to Debbie's great quote earlier, we're after the illusion. So we get enough of that, then we're good. So let's drop some of this in here. It's not as light, but I also kind of don't want it to be, because I still want a very yellowy, lemon yellowy color in there. And thicker, I really kind of cake it on when it comes to this sort of a thing. Wrong place. Uh-oh, it just went orange. Touched the wrong pile. Might be a good thing. Never know. And there's some areas in here that I'll just describe a little more. But for right now, we're just gonna go for this and what we've got. Got a little bit of a point over here where that happens too, so we'll describe some of that reflection there. Thanks. You guys are very kind. Appreciate it. And this is a really hard edge right now, so when I look at my reference, I'm going to have to work into this a little bit with just some shapes, and it'll be kind of a rough painterly approach, but it'll get there. All right, so to me there's a big change between like this section and just the highlight. I do need to put in more white, but it just needs to go a little cooler too. And so probably the most far out color that I have on here is Viridian, and I say that because it's like it's pretty powerful. So if I just take a little bit of Viridian and add it to my white, it creates this highlight that has color but is also pretty potent. I'm still going to mix just a little bit of this yellow with it so that we're kind of green. So let's just see where we end up here. It needs to be lighter, and it might need almost... The big thing is we don't want to just use just the white. So we'll start here. We'll kind of see where we end up. It's probably going to get warmer just because I've got a little bit of on my brush anyway. That's all right. I think I'm going to use that. And we get just a little bit of that on there. Painting it pretty thick, and I'll come in here more. We'll get a little more serious at a later date. Painting on Easter, probably not tomorrow, but definitely Monday. Another thing you can do if you're so inclined is to use an indirect method here where you lay down the white, just really strong, huge blob, and then do yellow glaze or something like that, just a subtle glaze over the top. You can get some really whacked out highlight colors. Pretty powerful. Okay, my brush is getting pretty dirty now, and it's falling apart a little bit here. So what I would do from this point, now that it's all blocked in, is obviously kind of finish out this, and I'll do that later, but kind of from this point, when it's all in, and I will just take it and I will just jump around, and I'll say, okay, what is not working? So I already mentioned this transition here where I'm like, hey, I'm not really happy with kind of how that's moving from there. So I'll just really quick mention and do a thing where I'm like, okay, I want the transition a little more. So I might take a little bit of straight yellow and kind of work it into it, because I see like some shapes and some things happening, because that was just a little too hard of an angle. You know, I might see that sort of thing happen here as well. And so what I'll do for the next many hours is just continually find those spots, and when I see them, I'll block them in, and I'll just keep going until that's that point where you just kind of step back and nothing is bugging me anymore. Or I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I think this is done. I think it's there. I could sit and work on it forever, but this is in a good finish spot. And so I think that pretty much kind of sums up the video. I'll probably just keep yammering and, you know, making small adjustments. And besides, it's we eat a pretty early dinner around here, so I wouldn't be surprised if things are being prepared downstairs as I speak. So I thank you all so much, Rob, Debbie, for staying the course and hanging out. Like I said, I'll post this one, I'll finished work on Instagram at a later date, and hopefully with the news that, hey, this piece is on its way to Arcadia Gallery, Arcadia Contemporary of New York. And yeah, hopefully everything goes well, and hopefully it was helpful in some way, shape, or form. So thanks, Rob, so much, and Debbie, thank you. You guys have a great one. Love chatting with you today. You made my day by just hanging around and talking. So cheers, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.